Welcome to this episode of Faith, Family, and Fellowship. I am April Lane, the wife of Orlando Slane, and we're coming to you today with the topic of I'm dying, now what? Now let's just face it, each day that we wake up, we're dying. And currently, right now, we are in a global pandemic where multiple people are dying, hundreds of people are dying each and every day. And our heart, our condolences, our prayers go out to everyone that has been affected by COVID-19. The reason why we wanted to do this video is because a lot of people do not have their affairs in order when it comes to death. Now, it is a very uncomfortable conversation. It's not an average conversation that we have every day at the dinner table, and it can be a little morbid. However, we know one thing for sure is that we're going to die. And so we're just coming to you today to give you a few tips on how to prepare for your death, how to get your affairs in order. So just to give you a few of my credentials, I have an associate's in business management. I have a bachelor's in psychology and counseling. I am also a certified paralegal and a business owner of an educational financial company. So let's get into the topics. The first thing I'm going to talk about is life insurance. When you look on social media, you see a lot of people creating GoFundMe accounts to help to bury their loved ones. Now, I think GoFundMe is a great crowdfunding platform for various things. However, I really don't think it's good to use GoFundMe as it relates to death. Here's why. You have to depend on other people giving you money. And right now, we're in a very financial rut. People have lost their jobs. People are suffering financially. And so it's better to have a security blanket underneath you in the event that something took place. So the first thing we're going to discuss is life insurance. Now, we prepare for birth, we prepare for marriage, we prepare for college, we prepare for the perfect career, and all of that is great. But we have to make sure that we also are preparing for our death. And so life insurance is a security blanket for someone once they die. There are various types of life insurance. However, I'm only going to talk about two, and those are term life and whole life. A term life policy is only for a specific term of your life. Most term life policies expire about age 80, meaning if you live past the age of 80, that policy is no longer in effect. Term life insurance policies tend to be quite cheaper than a whole life policy, which we're going to talk about next. A whole life policy covers you for your entire life, which is why they tend to be more expensive. A whole life policy also builds cash value, meaning that you can take money out of that policy for whatever the amount of the cash value is. Children also have life insurance policies as well. And sometimes people say, maybe they're not a good investment. For a few dollars a month, you can make sure that your child also has life insurance. Gerber is a life insurance policy that is very popular for children, and they're whole life policies, meaning that, again, that policy is going to build a cash value. So if your child goes away to college or if they need money, there is money in that life insurance policy for that child. Next, we're going to talk about having a will. Now, let's face it, sometimes when death occurs, it brings out the worst in family members. And that may not be for every family, but for some, you want to ensure that you have a trusted individual that will carry out your affairs once you die. And so I have some notes here, and we're just going to go through 4 types of wills. And the first one is a simple will. The second one is a testament will. The third one is a joint will. And the last one is a living will. So a simple will is a legal document, and pretty much it just gives you direction on how to distribute simple assets from your estate to your beneficiaries. And so whether you have a large amount of money or whether you have a small amount of money, whether you have maybe things that meant something to you, like pictures or albums that you want to go to a specific family member, the point of having a will is to make sure that your assets and your properties are distributed to who you want them to go to. When you have a testament will, it means that there is a trustee assigned to your will, meaning that this individual will be responsible for delegating the monies in your trust. For instance, if I left my daughter $50,000 and I wanted her to get that money in increments, then that means that that trustee will be responsible to make sure that my daughter got the $50,000 not all at once, but in the way that I laid out in my will. The next will is a joint will. That will is typically between a husband and a wife, where there is property involved. And so if my husband and I buy a house, and if I die, I want the house to go to my husband, then that will be spelled out in that will. The last will that I'm going to talk about is a living will. And a living will is to provide detailed instructions about the type of medical treatment or life-saving measures you want to be used if you become unconscious or unable to make medical decisions on your own, even in the event of death. And so that particular will is the only one used for while you are still alive. And with all of these wills, and this is only for the state of New Jersey, I'm not sure about the legalities for other states, but you must have 2 witnesses. And so those 2 witnesses are there to ensure that that was you signing and that these things are being carried out. You don't necessarily need to have a notary, but I suggest you have a notary. And so I'm just going to read this that I have here so that you get an understanding of why it's so important. An executor or personal representative needs to be identified. A necessary component of every will is the identification of a trusted individual to make sure the terms of your will are followed. The executor is responsible for guiding your estate through probate and ensuring that your property is distributed to your beneficiaries according to your will. And so that's very important because, as I said, sometimes death can bring out the worst in families and people fall out and a lot of things happen. And so it's just better for you to have that safeguard. There is also something called a POA, which is a power of attorney, and that is a legal document where you are still alive and you give someone the legal right to handle your affairs while you are unable. But let me make this distinction. A power of attorney is only valid while you are alive. And so if you want your power of attorney to also be the executor of your will, that needs to be stated, because once you die, the power of attorney is no longer valid. And so I pray that this information really helps us to really think about how important it is for us to get our affairs in order as it relates to death. I thank God for my husband as he has really pushed me to come on and do this video. And because this information is so pertinent, we're going to put a little special in here for you. So we are going to have a live drawing. For everyone who shares this video, because it's so important, it's not about views, it's not about subscribers, but it's about teaching people to make sure that their affairs are going to be in order. So for everyone that shares this video, drop a comment in the comment section and say shared, and we are going to have a drawing, and someone will win a Visa gift card as well as a Cash App payment. We thank you so much for watching. We thank you for coming on and listening to this information. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. Hit the subscribe button. My husband is really thinking of some wonderful content to bring to this channel. And again, thank you for watching. This is Faith, Family, and Fellowship.